Greetings. This is Skyler Saunders seeing what's current. In this edition, we're going to talk about something that's been very personal in my life. I'm sure it may affect other people within this audience, and that is homelessness. Yes, the fact that I, at one point, was considered to be homeless as a classic homeless veteran of the United States military. And it was an experience that I had to go through because of the fact that it didn't hinder me. I was able to uh, I was able to achieve to overcome it. I was able to do my own thing in the realm of work for the government. And good evening, Mo. Salute to you. Make sure you check out my PayPal and my Cash App and share the show. Thank you very much. Um, I wanted to make sure that I was, safe at all times. It's like, it was like a fight. Protect yourself at all times. That's what it was like. I was never on the streets though, and the closest thing I ever came to was one day of being completely without a shelter, a house over my head, one night. And it was very similar to what I'm going to be talking about later, a review of a film called Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. This came prior to the infamous slap, of course, but I'm going to get into that. Um, right now, I wanted to say how there are over 500,000 people that are registered as homeless in this country, and why is that? Why do we have a nation of plenty, a bountiful, abundant country full of all the goods and plenty, and we still have people begging in the streets, literally, people that have human waste in the streets because of the fact they don't have the proper toilet systems to go to. And so they have to go to a bathroom, a restroom, into some facility somewhere. That was the closest thing I had. I just slept on the floor, but I didn't even sleep the whole night. I maybe slept an hour or two on the floor of a bathroom, a restroom, and a VA hospital in Northampton, Massachusetts. It was just a few hours that I had spent completely without any resources in terms of habitation. It's a very serious thing, and especially because of me, because I have a illness. I have bipolar 1, and it just exacerbates the situation. Mo says, I deal with homelessness every day. Most of them have mental illness. It's sad. God forbid put any money into the medical field concerning mental health. And he goes on to say, Mo Mo says is cutting in and out. Maybe just me. Okay, I'm cutting in and out. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Let me know if you hear that, Mo. If that's coming in clear or not. Because everything's going well on my side. But just let me know. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate that. But with hopelessness, it just it just worsens the issue when you have a mental illness, and that's what is tied to what just recently happened. All right, Mo says it's good now. All right, great. That's what just really recently happened with Jordan Neely. He was a homeless man on the subway in New York City, and that's something that's very common. You have these metropolises, you have these large cities, these areas that have huge disparity, huge income inequality, which is a good thing. And that's what the problem is we have to face. The fact that inequality is a good thing, or it's not necessarily it's a good or bad thing. It's just a fact of reality. It just is. It's just something to realize. When you have income disparity or income inequality, it means that the markets are still working. What we need to do is institute new laws and take away old laws that don't work, or take away regulations and controls that prohibit people from cutting hair, filing nails, walking dogs in some states or cities. Why is that? Why do we have to have a license to cut someone's hair or to braid hair? Why aren't there licenses for giving out cheeseburgers? Is that coming down the pipe? I don't want to see that. I don't want to see people with licenses for barbershops. I don't want to see licenses for teachers. What do you need a license for to be a teacher? At least privatize it. Make it an issue of something that says you're trying to make a impact on somebody's life by giving them the opportunity to work, because that is happiness, not money. Money is the result. I just learned that from the film. I'll be talking about it soon, don't worry, but I'm just giving you little hints back and forth on what it is to be happy. Good work, as said by Gabrielle Marconi, I think is, wait, 1 second. Pardon me for a moment. I had to make sure I had to get my facts straight. Gabriele Machino. That's the director of the film Pursuit of Happiness. He said that doing good work makes you happy, and that is a fact. That is so true. Because it's not the fact that you're getting paid. Getting paid is a beautiful thing. Getting money is beautiful, but you have to get money. You have to make money. That's an American trait. Americans started that. The whole idea of making money. Now you can argue, oh, well, they made money off the backs of slaves, all the slave drivers, the colonizers, everybody like that. In a sense, that's true. But at the same time, they were not all slave drivers, the founding fathers. They were not all people that were for slavery. There were abolitionists that were during that period of time as well. So, to back up the point about homelessness, if you were in a position to be homeless, I see TV says nobody is watching this, which is an ironic statement, because if you're saying nobody is watching this, you're watching this. Thanks a lot for your support. Make sure you hit my PayPal, my Cash App. I appreciate you. Okay, Ricardo Emmanuel is coming in with the hatred. I thank you for that, sir. He says that Skyler likes getting his feet tickled. That's funny. Keep up the the humor. I like that. It's a Friday. We're having a good conversation. I'm having a conversation with myself right here. This is a good time. I'm making views. I'm making money. I'm going to be making money with the payment program. I appreciate every one of you in the live chat right now. Thank you very much. Let me continue. Homelessness is a problem only for those large cities like New York, San Francisco, Seattle, different places like that, because of the fact that there aren't enough ways to maximize opportunity, not equalize. There's no such thing as properly as an equal opportunity, but to maximize opportunity. That's the key. Once you're able to maximize opportunity, then you give people the chance to start from the very beginning. And I'm going back and forth. I'm going to the movie. I was listening to the commentary, and I was watching the special features, and they actually cast actual homeless people to be part of the extras. And those people got paid. They got a paycheck. They were on the payroll. They gave their all. They gave their talent, their specialty. Even though they may be homeless, they acted, the part of being themselves in a sense, I guess. But one of the production people said that there was a guy that came up to him. He was just very glad. He was very thankful that he was getting able to get his self esteem and his confidence up by being able to get a check, by being able to get earn a living for whatever part of that living he had available to him. So that's what's going on with homelessness. And I'm very familiar with it. I'll give you a breakdown. We call it CWT, compensated work therapy. And there are these houses that you live in with other veterans, and we go to work at the hospital, either a few miles away or within 2 minutes away. And you just complete tasks and that's what CWT stands for, in compensated work therapy, because it's therapeutic. It's very low key, laid back, not strenuous work, hard manual labor. There's such things as housekeeping. Some of the jobs I had were working the desk, greeting people at the reception areas. It was it was a very special time in my life because I was able to gain money, a good amount, the amount that you're supposed to get. I got around $36,000, but all of it was tax free. That's what you can get at $8 an hour. At most most states, minimum wage is $8 an hour. Now but you see how much is taken out when you have Medicare and Social Security and Medicaid, and all these different things are taken out in the payroll tax, and you see your check just dwindle and dwindle and dwindle, even to lower and lower and lower. And it just gets to a point where it gets very, very sloppy. And I was given the opportunity to live in an apartment at one point, because prior to that, I lived in what was called the Crescent House in Lowell, Massachusetts. You can look that up, the Crescent House. And you're just living in among veterans, people from the Navy, Marines, Air Force, Army. There was no Space Force back then, and the Coast Guard. I enjoyed the fact that it was a community of veterans, because we all could share the same similar ideals. Waking up early in the morning, going to work, and doing all the different tasks that were required of us. Then, a few months later, I had enough money saved up. I got an apartment. I got an apartment with a roommate, and we shared that place. It was one room. I had the room. He had the outside. We had two futons. He slept on his futon, slept on my futon, and we made it work. I mean, and at the Crescent House, and at any installation you have, where you have a CWT situation, you have no alcohol, no drug use, nothing like that. There's all that is banned and prohibited, and you'll be kicked out of the program if you ever cross that line. If you ever use substances. And we had regular checks, breathalyzer, urine tests, and that was just part of the norm. That was the trade-off for being under a roof, for having a roof over your head, having enough money in your pocket to go to the store to buy groceries. That's what made it make sense. That's how you could not just go through any kind of hoops, and try to game the system in a sense by drinking out, having a beer, and then showing up and thinking you can just sit under their roof while you're sipping on beers and smoking weed or doing coke or something like that. And that's another thing that's very ironic about where the place was, the Crescent House. Lowell, Massachusetts is known. If you ever seen the movie The Fighter, it's based on that area. With Christian Bale, he won the Academy Award for it. He was a crackhead, and that was part of the '90s. Maybe that's the reason why they cleaned it up, to where I was. I was in there from 2011 to 2012. They have a documentary you can look up called High on Crack Street. And in that documentary, it details the various figures who are getting high off of this drug during this time period, which was the 1990s. But you fast forward 20 years, and you have a completely different, state of existence. There's no, crack vials on the street. There's no, people strung out on the corner or getting high. It was a very clean place from where I stood, and I had to do cleanup from some of the week. I had to brush and take the broom to the street corners. I was you can call me a street sweeper at that time period. I was going through a point in my life where I was trying to figure out where I was going to be the next day. And for the most part, everything was beautiful. I would go into work. What did I have to do for work? I had to do certain tasks, such as put dirty mops into a big container for laundry. My Hispanic friend named Angel or Angel, I'm not going to say his last name, but my Spanish speaking Hispanic coworker, he said dirty mapos. That's what he always said. He would say, you got to clean up the dirty mapos. And I would just take them from a huge, they would come in these bags, and I have to open them up. I was wearing a smock and a mask and everything, and I'm just dumping them over. Keep dumping them and dumping them and dumping them over and over again until they filled up this cart, and I had to ship it out into where they were on the floor to get them cleaned. That's just one of my tasks. I also was a garbage man. They can call it recycling. You can be really cute and say, "Oh, you were collecting recyclables." I was a garbage man. Let's not kid ourselves. Okay. Salute to you, Ricardo. I appreciate that, sir. Make sure you share the stream. You don't have to even send me money. Just make sure you tell other people about the stream. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But I had the opportunity to pick up trash from various sites around the hospital. We would take this big blue, well, not big, but this blue box truck, and we would take it and fill it with all these carts of recyclables or garbage, whatever trash or discarded items that people didn't want anymore. Okay, so that was my life for a good year, from 2011 to 2012. I did that for a whole year, and it was amazing. All right, we're having audio issues. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me straight? Can you hear me? 1 2 check. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Agent KK is having issues. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Okay, I see Ricardo can hear me. It's cutting in and out for you too. Okay, it's Agent K. Yeah, Mo and Agent KK are having audio issues. Audio is good on my end now, Mo is saying. Okay. I'm just monitoring. I'm still flowing, still moving and shaking and popping. If you can't hear anything, just let me know. Just give me a text, because I can see on my side I have a bar that has little white dots, and then a green dots that let me know that there's a mic that's picking up the sound. So if you can't hear me, let me know. Trolling on the River 6-9. You good? All right, I'm good. All right. And if you hear any other extraneous noises, just remember that I'm living in my parents' house, not my own place. So if you hear any kind of vacuum cleaners or anything like that, just try to put that to the side and take in what I'm saying. I'll try to be as clear as possible, and hopefully we'll get through these audio and visual problems. All right, where am I? I'm 2011. All right, I'm at the Crescent House. So I go from the Crescent House to a facility, to my own apartment. I then have the opportunity to go to uh, what is part of my journey, but during my time period at the facility, and I told you before I had bipolar disorder. I just said one day, because I knew the money was getting low, and I had a girlfriend at the time, and we had broken up, and we had a time period that was beautiful. It was a wonderful experience. I was going to Boston. I went to the Boston Symphony Orchestra. I went to the August Wilson's play, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. All of that for you know cheap too, because of my veteran discount. So I'm able to go to all these places and able to meet up with my girlfriend all this time. And this was not simping, this was pimping. Because even if you ask Mr. Terrain, he said you're going to pay for it some way, somehow. So I paid for it. I'm just telling you like it is. I'm not trying to say that I'm a pimp, because I'm not. I'm a man and I'm a Marine. So it's not simping, and I never was, and I never will be a simp. So let's just get that straightened out of the way. But my girlfriend and I, we decided to go our separate ways. So I was single. That was a Drake line, by the way. But anyway, we we got to a point where we just broke up. It was around this time, actually, around May, right around May, when I said we should just stop this. And we must have did the wild thing about 4 or 5 times since way back in March. March 23rd, when I met her at a Odd Future concert. You know, but we didn't even listen to hip hop like that. We listened to Stevie Wonder, Grizzly Bear, Fleet Foxes, and a whole host of other different rock and soul groups. So she wasn't a hip hop head. She always said she took Our Future with a grain of salt. I thought she needed a boulder for Odd Future and for them, but it still worked out. We had a lovely conversation at the end, and she said bye, baby, and I was that was it. That was all for her. So back to my days working at the hospital in Bedford. I had to drive in from my Saab 9.3 cabriolet convertible, and I took one day and just said, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. So they had to have Angel. They had to have him look for me. Then they called one of the administrators that was there to facilitate the veterans and the CWT program, and her name was Debbie, and she pretty much took it on herself to be a guidance, and she actually helped me in a lot of ways. But on this particular day where I just said almost literally F it. I was just like, I'm not doing any of this anymore. I'm pretty much low. The time period is only a year. You have a year to do whatever $8 an hour job you have, and then see if you can transition into that position or another position within the hospital that's full time and complete. I chose not to do that. I chose to say, I want to do something totally different. I'm just going to stand here and not do anything. And so I was almost like catatonic. They called my phone. My phone was vibrating over and over and over and over, and they couldn't reach me. So, I went to the hospital and I ran into Debbie and she was like, "Okay, what's going on? I don't know what's going on here. What's going on here?" And I was just telling her, I'm not really feeling like this. And I saw one of my, coworkers, a guy named Bob. He was tall. He was like 6'4", 6'5". We call him Big Bob. He was like, "Hey, Sky, where you going, man?" And I was just like, I didn't say a word. I was just walking with Debbie, and she knew where I was going. She knew where I was going. She had she had said that I was, going. I was displaying, some of the characteristics of being bipolar, erratic behavior and not being focused. And so she took me to the administrative building where they filled out paperwork for me to go into the psychiatric ward. So I go into the psychiatric ward. I remember vividly saying over and over, "nigger, nigger, 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 nigger." And it's just saying that and completely over. And I was just knew I was getting under the skin of this poor white woman. She was not having it. She was just totally flabbergasted. She was just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. How is this happening? How is he saying all these words over and over again?" So I took it upon myself to, be there for, I think I was only there for 2 days, 3 days, and then I got out of that. And so I went back to my apartment with my roommate, and he was not having it. I was completely erratic, completely, turned up. I didn't take the drugs. They gave me the drugs, to take after, I got out of the facility, out of the ward, but I wasn't taking them. I just kept moving. I just kept it moving. I didn't even stop. So then I go to the apartment and I have to go to the door. Yeah, Agent KK, all that for bipolar? Yes, everything for bipolar. This is I'm telling you factually and actually what happened. So I, I know that for a fact that I couldn't maintain. I couldn't keep an apartment anymore. And so it took me a while to figure it out, but I got to the point where I couldn't even understand what was going on totally. I was just in a blur. I didn't know what to do next. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know why I was doing it, but I was just doing it. And so, just to keep the story going, my roommate calls the authorities, calls the medics on me, and then they assess what is going on. And what happens? Boom! I'm knocked out. They put the drugs in me that knocked me out. This happened to me. I'm going back in the story 2008. This happened to me when I was in Yuma, Arizona. I was running around cutting up magazines, yelling at a medical facility in Yuma, Arizona, and they gave me that drug. Boom, knocked me out. So fast forward again to 2012. I'm going to the point where I have in my mind that I'm in another state, but I'm not actually still in the same state. I'm still in Massachusetts, but I'm in a different city, about an hour, maybe 2 hours away. It's called Brockton. Now that's famous for its boxers. Rob Marciano, I think, is from Brockton, and a few others, from that area, from Brockton, Massachusetts. And if I'm wrong, please correct me in the chat room. But you can look it up and just put in Google boxers and Brockton, Massachusetts, and see what you get. Okay, so I'm at the point where I am going to another facility and I'm already there and I'm in another lockdown state of existence. I can't get out of the doors. I'm completely locked down. So what do? I have to go to, the nurses station, and at the nurses station, they're not, helping me. So I'm clawing and fighting, and that I'm in one wing, and they're saying, this guy is completely a mess. He's going all over the place, And I was almost in a fist fight. And the guy said, I was just like, I said, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember what he said because it reminds me every day. He said, at least I can go home. And that hit me because it's so true. He could go home. I couldn't just, there was no home actually, because the apartment had to be sold, or had to be, taken, all my belongings had to be taken out. And my roommate came over. His name was Gary. He had all my stuff packed up and sent. He drove from Massachusetts to Delaware, my home state, and he had everything but what I really wanted, which were books and magazines that I had collected over the years. So out of spite, he completely disregarded me and threw away or gave away, or I don't know what happened to them. They weren't in my possession anymore. But he gave my clothes and the car that I was driving back to my parents' house. All the while I'm in completely vulnerable state and unable to do anything besides just exist. And I got a heck of a lot fatter. I'm a little slimmed down now, but I was a lot bigger when I was in the psych ward in Brockton. And it just congealed. Everything came together, in a weird way. It just seems like everything that Hollywood says, and what is said in the media, it says about psych wards. It's a totally different situation. It hits different when you're actually in it. It hits different because, quiet as it is kept, you can get paid for being in a psych ward. And I'm not saying that for a suggestion. I'm just saying that because it's a fact. And you can look it up. I'm not saying this to go against my rating or anything like that, because it's on the web. It's on the site. It says that you can get paid for your time being in a psych ward or in a hospital or whatever the case may be, tax free. So let me get to that point. Let me get to the point where I am getting paid at 100% level, which is about $3,500 a month. And I am in the hospital for 5 months. Now you do the math. About $3,600 a month. And I'm in there for 5 months. Go ahead. Just calculate that. Tax free. No taxes whatsoever. And then between that, I'm going to veterans, lodges and having dinners. And I go to a talent show. We're on the road, and they lead you to believe in Hollywood and in the press that psych wards are just just have a sense of being totally withdrawn. And people are, and it's true. Some parts of that is true, because there was one man, his name was Mac. He was completely, and I'm not even kidding, I'm not playing. He was completely out of it. Like, he had something beyond a mental disorder. It was a neurological disorder. There was something wrong with his brain, like literally wrong with his brain. He couldn't carry a conversation like, verb, noun, adjective, subject, predicate, mode, none of that. He'd say, man down, go here, there. Like, it didn't make any sense at all. Nothing. And it was very sad because his family was there. And he had his daughter and his wife actually come through during visitation hours. And I was just like blown away by that. I was just like, that's really sad, man. But in between, I'm getting meals. It's 3 squares a day, and 3 hots and a cot. And I'm just playing with the nurses, and we're just joking and going back and forth, talking about philosophy, talking about religion and faith and geology and archaeology and all kinds of different topics and subjects. and I'm learning Spanish words from this one nurse that was completely beautiful inside and out. Agent KK said it could have had head trauma. Yeah, he may have had head trauma. He may have had some kind of TBI within the military, because everything. All this is I'm talking about is all military. All these are all VA hospitals. Everyone in there had some kind of military service. So I realize that there's a level of making money in this. And you don't talk to the doctors and the nurses. You don't talk to them. You don't talk to you talk to the patients. They know, not someone like Mac. Mac was completely out of it. Mac was on another level. But some of the patients knew. They're like, "Hey, man, you in here, you get paid." And I was just took to that. I was like, "What? You get paid for being in here?" And I was rated. There are levels of ratings. I was rated first at 10%. Then it got bumped up to 50%. Then it got bumped up to 70%. At that point, that's where I was. I was at 70%. And it took me that long to be able to discuss what it was to be at 70%. Because that was about maybe 1,500 to 2,000, maybe somewhere around there, 1,500 to $2,000 a month. But like I said, 100% was like 3,500 or $3,600 a month. Maybe even a little bit less, maybe 33 or 3,400, somewhere around there. But it was a lot more than 70%. So, okay, Agent KK has a comment. They're supposed to have a really good VA hospital in Conroe, Texas. I don't know that. I didn't know that. It's near Houston, apparently. I didn't know that, because there are levels to the hospitals. I can almost be a connoisseur, or a review artist of the different psychiatric wards I've been in, because I was technically homeless even before then. In 2011, I was in the same situation. I was in a program that was in Pennsylvania. And I know I'm going back in the story, but I'll jump back into the future a little bit later. In 2011, I was in a program that was very similar. I had a bed, a bureau, and a desk, a wardrobe and a desk. And I just used my, wits to be able to find it in myself to do, what I had to do. And so I worked at the Olive Garden during this time period. They were doing a hiring season. It was a brand new Olive Garden. I opened it. They were looking for veterans, and they got their discount, and I got the job, and it was terrible. I hated it. I was horrible at it. I was terrible. I dropped food on a lady, and it was just a mess. It was terrible. Terrible experiences. I could only work one table. You're supposed to work at least 3 tables. Some people could work 4 tables. So it wasn't all horrible, though. I like the fact that I was getting paid. That was one thing that was very good. But there was, it was a environment of young girls that looked beautiful. These young girls coming straight out of high school, 18, 19 years old. I felt like an old man. I was, 22, 23, almost 23 years old at the time period. So I want to go into the future, back into Brockton, from Coatesville, Pennsylvania in 2011 to Brockton, Massachusetts in 2012. I was put into an all male ward because for what I understand is that I guess they thought I would, sexually assault, one of the women, or something stupid or crazy, which I had no intention of, or anything close to doing that. And you can show that, and it shows in my records and in my pedigree that I would never even come close to doing that. But this is the reality. I'm giving you all straight facts, straight from the reality. This is what's all happening. So, 2012, Brockton, Massachusetts. in the psych ward, and then it gets to a point where I'm doing more work. They give you CWT, compensated work therapy. What am I doing? I'm feeding and helping, some of the guests that are probably not here anymore. This is 10 years ago. At least 8 or 9 of them are probably 6 feet deep right now. But they were good people. They were just elderly veterans, trying to live out their last days with dignity and honor. And I was just there to facilitate that. I would give them their meals. I would, we would shuttle them. They would go on trips, and I would load them up in the wheelchairs and take them out to different places. So that was my life. That's Brockton, Massachusetts. That was in 2012, and I was able to graduate from the psych ward, if that's possible, because it took me from June 15th to November 15th. Exactly 5 months. And I was able to make enough money, but I didn't even know it yet because it takes time. All this takes time. I had a fighting Irishman, a lawyer from Boston, that with all the paperwork, signed everything. And I don't think I ever even talked to him. There was one point, and that was very funny. I was in a room with one of his associates, and we're going over the paperwork for me to get my money to get from the 100% for being 5 months in. And he looks at me and says, you want the Social Security too? I said, yes. I said, I want more money, please. Thank you. I appreciate that. Agent KK, hang around with Gramps all day. No thanks. Hey, they were good people. I have to disagree with you. They were good people. So some of them, were in some serious and dire situations, and you had to fight through the fact that it was a depressing kind of thing. But they were good people. They're strong. They're what this country is built for. Is what's built be to what it's built beyond. What's beyond what it's built for. They sustained me. They kept me grounded in a sense. I have my ego, and I have my self-esteem, my selfishness, and it allowed me to not just knock that down, but to fortify it, to complete the selfishness. So that's what I did. I was able to graduate to what is called the REACH program. Don't ask me what REACH stands for, but it's an acronym, basically stating, this is another leg up. You have a chance to, be, you can be somebody, you can be part of this program. And that's why I did all those different jobs, in the REACH program. So it goes to the point where I actually find something where I graduate from. After, in between that, I was doing the CWT work, and I'm going, doing regular rounds and everything like that. I'm getting a paycheck every week, $8 an hour, but it's a full paycheck, no taxes taken out, no Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, none of that taken out. It's all real. It's all real money. We're not playing with monopoly money here. And so I continue on with my own state of understanding what it is I'm doing. And so I graduate from the REACH program. And let me tell you what happened every day. They would say, how was your day? Every veteran, they say, what was your day like? At the end of the day. And Agent KK, look for REACH program, Brockton, Massachusetts. REACH program, Brockton, Massachusetts. Veterans Affairs Hospital. Look that up. But because I don't remember the acronym, I can't tell you right now. But I graduate, and in between that, they had a daily roll call where you say what your day was like. And you know what I said? Perfect. Every single day. So I got known as, the perfect guy. I said perfect. Because that's what it was. It wasn't like I was doing some grueling, back-breaking, soul-crushing, mind-numbing job. I was doing something that I thought was actually beneficial. And it set me up to be something that was great. And I felt that. So I graduated from the Reach program, and the next step is Cherry Street. Cherry Street is a very interesting thing because everybody knows what Northampton is like. Northampton, Massachusetts is full of lesbian women. It has the sister colleges that include Smith College, and it's all about women's only. So during this time period, I go to another house. It's like the Crescent House, but it's called Cherry Street. And in that time period, there was a backlash against Cherry Street because they didn't want ex-druggies to live in the same vicinity as the other people in the community, because it was a very laid back, very chill, small college town atmosphere. I'm used to that. I'm from Newark, Delaware. University of Delaware is the seat or the main attraction of Newark, Delaware. They own everything basically, as they should. Get more people, get more money, get billions of dollars in endowments. But I digress. I'm at Cherry Street. And so I go and later on find out, that I have to do CWT again. And I do something that's very simple and straightforward again. I'm in there and I'm at the desk. Agent KK is asking substance abuse. What do you mean? Explain further. Because there's all that I'm talking about are people that have been afflicted by substance abuse, except for the people that were for in the elderly care. They weren't on drugs or anything, but we either you had a mental condition or you had some kind of drug substance abuse issue. That was your key into these programs. And I was able to get into Cherry Street, and I was there for about 2 to 3 months, from March till June. In that time, I lost my mind again. So I'm back in the situation I was prior to being in it before. And that was when I was in Northampton's psychiatric ward at the VA hospital. But before that, I was getting paid. I was getting paid for being at the desk reception. So we were just talking, back and forth, shooting the ish, going back and forth, talking about music. We were talking about psychology. We were talking about philosophy, anything that was interesting. And so we just kicked it until I got locked in behind doors at another psychiatric ward. Now this I didn't get paid for because I wasn't there for more than a month. I was there for about 2 or 3 days again, just like in Bedford. And so this was where I was in a completely precarious situation. I had all my items while I was locked behind the psychiatric ward. Okay, they're saying Agent KK is saying no. I was just looking up Reach, and it's a huge nonprofit. Well, I think they all are nonprofits. Look for government. Look for VA hospital. Reach program, Brockton VA hospital. Type all that in at one time, and you'll probably find. I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna type in Brockton VA hospital Reach program. It comes right up. Reach VA is available for caregivers of veterans diagnosed with ALS, dementia, MS, PTSD, spinal cord injury, or disorder. It has the Brockton Reach program, Brockton VA Medical Center. It's part of the Veterans Affairs. If you just look that up, you'll be able to figure it out. Trust me. It's just a program designed to help people that were substance abusers and who have mental illnesses. And that's another thing about it. I have to give them a good solid B plus. in all the places that I've been, I have to give the VA healthcare system a solid B plus. Not perfect, not A plus, not A. They have their own hangups and their own, problems, but it's a solid B plus. The places I've been in, they gave as much care as they could and went beyond that sometimes. So I'm at Cherry Street and I'm going back to get my stuff, and it's all in bags of plastic, big, huge trash bags, black trash bags, all my stuff, books, clothes, all that stuff. I take it up to the train tracks and I just leave it there. And I walk all the way back from Cherry Street to the hospital, which is maybe 2 minutes in a car, but like 30 or 40 minutes by foot. Um and I just lay down on the restroom floor and I try to go to sleep, but I can't. Everything is going on in my mind. Everything is rushing. I'm going back and forth, rushing through my brain. Everything that's happened to me over the past few months. And so I come to the conclusion where I gotta get out. I have maybe $2,000 in my bank account. I use that money, and I go on to where I thought would be a good resting space, and I found a good young man that I knew he wasn't a complete friend, but he's a good guy. He taught me how to market myself. I made money, like a panhandler, tax free money. I made $9 in one day. It's something. He was an actual busker. If you don't know what a busker is, it's somebody who plays music on the street corner for money. So that's where it got to the point where I was like, okay, I can, see what happens with this. And he was a very good player. He was a trumpeter, I think he was, if I'm not mistaken. He's either a trumpeter or a saxophonist. All right, I see this. I see Agent KK timing in. I want to tell my friend because he's ex-military, bipolar, and got no help at all in Chicago, but did in Conroe. It depends where you go. When he moved down here with me, but he's in Los Angeles now, and he's homeless. See? That's where I want to get to. I want to get to the point where it's across the board. Because at Brockton, that was not just because of the money. The money was a beautiful thing. I was grateful for it and I was glad about it. But at the same time, it took me to a point where I was able to heal. I was actually able to heal myself while I was at Brockton. I wasn't in Northampton too long to realize if I was healing or not. I wasn't in Coatesville too long to know if I was healing or not. I wasn't in Bedford to know if I was healing or not. But at Brockton, I knew I was healing. So it depends on where you go. I give them all a B plus to where it was. I just wasn't there long enough. But I was in Brockton long enough to tell. So I just took a bus home. I took a bus ride. Just took a Greyhound bus and just left on my way back to Delaware. I took a bus right back, and my dad picked me up in Wilmington, Delaware, when I went to where it would be and has always been my home. And that's where I reside now. And I've been residing and staying here for almost a decade because I'm stacking my ones while I'm doing this. I'm doing this cast because of that. To get that money. That's what it's all about. And that's why I wanted to do a mini review of the movie that's almost 20 years old now. 17 years ago it came out, 2006. Okay, Agent KK is also chiming in. Oh no, Richie Rich. Wow, this is deep stuff. Salute. No, salute to you. Make sure you share this. Make sure you tell everybody about my experiences. Let them know, because this is all coming off the dome. This is reality. But I want to talk about the movie. The movie was excellent. This is what you call an excellent film. A black father that was with his wife, then had, or girlfriend. I don't know if they were, husband and wife, but they broke up. She left, and he was with his child for the remainder of the movie. He's trying to be a stockbroker. He's a brilliant man. He can solve a Rubik's Cube within just a few hits. He's trying to be a broker. He's going to, meetings and seeing people. He loses his shoe. He loses these machines that he's trying to sell to doctors. They were for blood tests or something like that. Or to figure out, to diagnose something. And he's trying to, go through this place in San Francisco, the financial district, and he winds up in a homeless shelter. This shelter is about faith. It's faith based, but at the same time, it still provides them with a place to eat and a place to sleep, or at least a place to eat. He tries to go to a motel. He gets kicked out. His stuff is out there on the front. He tries to hail, tries to go on a train. He drops the box that this homeless guy thinks is a time machine. He goes through so many trials and tribulations, and you feel for him. You're like, gosh, is he going to win? When is he going to win? Is anything going to turn up for him? There's something as good that's going to happen in his life? But in between, he's still with his child. He's with his son, and it's with Jaden Smith, his actual son. Will Smith's actual son is in the movie. And it's just a great movie to just to watch, just to see how you go through struggle and pain, and you go through misery just to get to something that's happiness. That's why the actual title of the movie is called Pursuit of Happiness, with the Y, because on the side of this, I'll just give you a little tidbit. The side of the story of the wall that said Pursuit of Happiness had a Y instead of an I, and he was correcting him. It was a guy who spoke either Cantonese or Mandarin. He was a Chinese guy. He was telling him that, hey, look, that's a Y right there. There should be an I. He was telling him that. That's the early part of the stages of the movie. But throughout the whole movie, you understand why it's called Pursuit of Happiness. It's because money does not make you happy. Getting money, making money, building, creating, producing a fortune can make you extremely happy. But the idea of the happiness is not in the fortune. It's in making that fortune. It's in building it. It's in taking it up in arms and taking and loving what you do. If you make $2 an hour, you make $2 an hour. And you should be proud of that. That should make you happy. You're not rich, you're not wealthy, but you're making $2 an hour. What's worse? Making 75 cents an hour in the field. I'm talking about people that are in sweatshops. Sweatshops are beautiful. Sweatshops are wonderful. That's how you get those Nike Airs. Because of Malaysia, because of Singapore, which are also inequality places. You see huge skyscrapers. That's all you see. You see wonderful, beautiful, look like it's cityscapes. Everything is all good everywhere. Let me get to these. Agent KK, that movie is based on a true story. Exactly. It was based on Christopher Gardner. Chris Gardner's story. He wrote the book first, and then it was adapted into a movie and directed by this gentleman, which I'm going to remember his name. It's an Italian gentleman. He speaks, pretty fluent English. Speaks better English than I speak Italian. I'm going to put Italian director of Pursuit of Happiness. Gabriele Muccino. Gabriele Muccino. He directed this beautiful movie, an excellent movie, great business movie. It shows businessmen as good people. It shows a business person, an entrepreneur, as somebody that could be looked up to, that should be worshipped in a sense. That's hardly ever shown in TV and movies. TVs and movies, even though it was based on a true story, it had to be adapted into be in a fictionalized or dramatized way of acting, or else it would just be documentary. That's how important this was to his life, to his whole goal of being, not to have money. Anybody can have money. Scrooge McDuck swimming through gold coins has money. Great, you have money. Wonderful. What are you going to do with it? You're going to invest it. You're going to throw it down a well. Making money, creating money, producing money. That's it. That's what Chris Gardner did. He built up a fortune and sold it for millions of dollars. Agent KK, he even chimes in again. He says that movie is also like 20 years old. Yeah, it's almost 20 years old. Yeah, 17 years. The movies now are trash. For the most part, they are. That's a fact. That's real talk. I'm not agreeing with you, just agreeing with you. But for the real talk, there are some movies that are good though. Some movies that are actually good, like Top Gun, Maverick. That was an excellent movie. It was about achieving. It was about rewarding. It was about having a desire and a goal for something that was good. Just like in Pursuit of Happyness, he had a desire and a goal to do something that was good with his life. Through all the travails, all the snares, everything that held him back, everything that could have stopped him on his roll, he kept going. He didn't stop. He just rolled on and on and on and on and kept going until he got to that point where you see him in the crowd. That was such a beautiful moment. I almost teared up because it was just such a wonderful expression when they said, you know what? You're a broker here. You're a broker at this firm. You test, you're now a broker. And that happened to Chris Gardner. That's, it was based on a true story. But like I said, it had to be dramatized. Tandy Newton did a wonderful job as the mom. It was a sad situation. She had to leave them both. But she stuck around for as long as she could. And then she had to go. But maybe she didn't see the vision. She probably would have been able to share in his wealth as well. But she didn't see that vision. She didn't see the foresight. He had lost so many things. He was on the floor like I was on the floor of a bathroom, of a restroom. When you're on that floor in that restroom, that's when it hits you. It hits different when you're on the floor of a restroom. And I'm talking to you right now, and I got 4 figures in my bank account. That's not a lot. It's not a lot, I know. But it's all tax-free because I'm 100%. That's what I'm going to get to right now. Because when I came home to Delaware, in just a few months' time, because of my fighting Irishman, my lawyer, Michael, I'll just say that. Maybe you can look him up. Michael Kelly. Type in Michael Kelly Boston. I could give him some free business. But Michael James Kelly, kick him in the belly, Michael James Kelly. He got me that 100%. Well, that was for the 5 months. A few months later, I got the 100% because I had to go to get an evaluation to get the 100%. And I had it in my mind to tell the truth. I said, look, I have bipolar. I'm seeing things and I'm hearing things. And I'll get to that later. In a future cast, in a future show, I will let you know what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing. But the reason why I got 100% tax-free right now in my bank account every month on time, Social Security on top of the VA benefits. And I got 4 figures in my bank account right now. Not a lot, I know, but it's more than being on that floor in the restroom. And I know I live with my parents. That's a classic story. Oh, we make fun of that. There's so many jokes. Oh, when you get to take care of your kids, especially when they turn 42. But what about the kids that are helping out their parents? I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm just saying I help out my parents. I help them out. I don't ask for a dime from them, but I help them out. So that's where we are right now. That's what that movie was about, Pursuit of Happyness. If you haven't watched it, go see it. It's a must-see movie. Well written, well acted, well directed, great shots. So I do want to say, you've seen my journey. You've seen just a sliver of my journey. It is possible. There is rational hope. This isn't just faith hope. This isn't just maybe God is going to send me somebody one day and it's going to be okay and everything's going to be right. No, you have to be rational. You have to use your mind. I used my mind when people said, "You're not well. You need to get a lawyer. You're not well. You need to find out what to do and how to get this money, to make this money. You're not well." And that just kept ringing in my head. You're not well. You're not well. And I wasn't well. I hear things and I see things. That just comes with the bipolar. And I use my drugs, my prescribed drugs, as a way of getting better. And look at that. Agent KK just said, "Glad you're getting better." I am. I'm in a really great place. I'm in a place right now. I'm talking to you on a MacBook that I bought with money that I used from my settlement. That's beautiful. Now I was able to do that. I'm able to continue to speak with you because of that. And so, in conclusion, I'd like to say thank you very much for riding with me. This is the most people I've had ever. This is the most likes I've ever had ever. At one time, the concurrent amount of people watching was at 6. I've never been higher than 4 or 5. I thank you for that. I'm nothing. You have people that are yachts, huge, that can afford a yacht too. But people that with 1 million subscribers, I don't have that. I'm working on it every day. Every day I'm working it. Every day I'm hustling. Like Rick Ross. Huh. You know? But I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sending me a PayPal or Cash App. Make sure you do that. If you don't, just tell somebody to watch the cast or watch my past videos. And I will see you in another time. And I hope you all are well. Take care.